In a quiet village nestled deep in the heart of Africa, there lived a woman named Nambasu. Nambasu was known for her sharp tongue and her cooking skills. Her meals were a delight to anyone who tasted them, but her heart was not as kind as her food was delicious. Though many came to her small food stall to eat, Nambasu was never satisfied with the money she made. She always dreamed of becoming the richest woman in the village, no matter what it took. One day, while collecting firewoods in the forest, Nambasu stumbled upon a strange sight. Beneath the roots of an ancient baobab tree, she found a pot, unlike any she had seen before. It was large and shiny, with intricate carvings of animals and swirling patterns that seemed to move when the sunlight hit them. As she bent down to examine it, a voice came from within the pot. "Take me, Nambasu," the voice said, low and melodic. "I am no ordinary pot. I can make you the greatest cook in the land, but you must promise to feed me every night." Nambaso hesitated. She looked around, but there was no one in sight. Her heart raced. How did you know my name? Was this some kind of trick? But greed soon clouded her thoughts. If the pot could truly make her the best cook, her dreams of wealth would come true. "I will feed you," Nambaso said, her voice trembling. "But what do you eat?" "Anything you give me," the pot replied. "But remember, the tastier the offering, the more power I will grant you." Without thinking twice, Nambaso carried the pot home. That evening, after cooking her usual meals, she set aside some scraps of meat and vegetables for the pot. As soon as she dropped the food inside the pot, it glowed faintly as if content. The next morning, Nambasu cooked as usual, but something was different. Her meals were more fragrant, more flavorful, and the villagers couldn't get enough. Customers flooded her store, and she made more money than she ever had before. Days turned into weeks, and Nambasu's fame spread beyond the village. People from afar and wide came to the village to taste her food. But as her business grew, so did the pot's hunger. Each night, it demanded more. At first, Nambasu fed it leftovers, then fresh ingredients, and some entire meal. "Give me more," the pot would whisper each night. Its voice grew deeper, more insistent. "You must satisfy me, or your fortune will vanish." Nambasu began to worry. Her profits were growing, but so was the cost of keeping the pot happy. Then one evening, the pot made a new demand. "Feed me something living," it said. Nambasu froze. "Living? What do you mean? You wish to keep your customers, don't you? Bring me a chicken, a goat, or anything with a heartbeat. The fresher, the better." Fear and greed battled in Nambasu's heart. She has come a long way to lose everything now. That night, she bought a chicken from the market and brought it to the pot, trembling as she placed it inside the pot. The pot swallowed it whole, and its glow grew brighter than ever. The next morning, her meals were so delicious that people began to line up before sunrise just to eat at her store. As weeks passed, the pot's demand grew darker. It no longer wanted animals, it wanted people. At first, Nambasu refused, but the pot warned her, "If you do not feed me, your success will crumble, and so will you." Nambasu was so terrified, but her greed was stronger than her fears. One night, under the cover of darkness, into her home with a promise of warm meal. Once the man had fallen asleep, she fed him to the pot. The pot glowed brighter than ever, and the next day her food became legendary. Even some of the villagers whispered that her meals had magical properties. The villagers, however, began to notice strange things. Travelers who came to eat at Nambaso's store often disappeared. Rumors started to spread, but no one dared confront her. She was too powerful now, and her wealth gave her influence over the village elders. Among the villagers was a clever young boy named Kofi. He often watched Nambaso from a distance, curious about her sudden rise to fame. One day, he decided to investigate. Late at night, he hid near the house and peered through a crack in the wall. What he saw chilled him to the bone. Nambaso was talking to the pot, which now pulsed with a sinister red light. "Tomorrow, I will bring you another," Nambaso whispered. "Just keep my business thriving." Kofi knew he had to act, but he also knew he couldn't confront Nambaso alone. The next day, he gathered a group of villagers and told them what he had seen. Though they were afraid, they agreed to help him stop Nambaso. That night, Kofi and the villagers waited outside Nambaso's house. They watched as she led another unsuspecting stranger inside. Just as she was about to feed the man to the pot, the villagers burst in. Startled, Nambasu screamed and tried to stop them. But it was too late. Kofi grabbed the pot and threw it into the fire. The pot let out a terrible scream, shaking the entire house. "You have broken our pact. You will pay the price," the pot said. The pot shattered into 1,000 pieces and a dark cloud rose from the shards. It swirled around Nambasu, who cried in terror as she was lifted into the air. When the cloud vanished, Nambasu was gone. All that remained was a faint whisper. "Greed devours all." After Nambasu's disappearance, the villagers found her storeroom filled with money and food. They distributed it among themselves and vowed never to let greed consume them as it had consumed Nambasu. The baobab tree where the pot had been found was declared a sacred place, and no one dared go near it. As for Kofi, he became a hero in the village, remembered for his courage and wisdom. And though the villagers continued to cook and share meals, they always did so with kindness and gratitude, never forgetting the dark tale of Nambaso and her wicked magic pot.